Hi all, Asif at UK Crypto here. Hope everyone's doing well. And this video is the much anticipated and much requested interview with the dev team of Proof of Weak Hands, the lead dev MANTSO and part of the dev team JUSTO. So this interview was requested for quite a while and we managed to get it done. I know it's going to cause a lot of people to click on this video and find out what is Proof of Weak Hands. So before we start anything, for all the newcomers, a little brief explanation of what is P3D, and Calavera on his Twitter page has broken it down brilliantly, so I'm going to use his Twitter thread to explain P3D. So basically, P3D is a decentralized exchange, proof of weak hands, for trading Ethereum for P3D tokens to pay out dividends depending on the volume of the exchange. So when you buy in, you pay 10% Ethereum, which gets redistributed amongst current token holders. You also pay 10% when you sell. Tokens aren't transferred, they just generated through buys and sells. So the total supply constantly changes with each buy and sell. The contract's open source, it's been fully audited by third parties. It's a smart contract. There's no central authority controlling the contract. There is no pre-mine. There's no single entity. It's designed as a game of weak hands. So when you enter, you're at 20% disadvantage immediately. And the only way to win is to not sell and collect dividends. So you go in and only the strongest hands win. The contract's one of its kind. It can't be hacked, rigged, changed, or manipulated in any way. And everything's transparent. So there's also ways to find out how much Ethereum you could potentially earn through dividends. Price does not scale linearly with the amount of Ethereum in the contract. Dividends are the real gold in this game, and you can figure that out for yourself through simulations and calculations. The premise of the game is simple. Human greed and fear drive markets, and there will always be volatility in a game like this where there is no real utility but to earn dividends. So there's some misconceptions. P3D is a Ponzi rebuttal. It's mathematically impossible for this to collapse. You earn on the way up and on the way down. So that's the number one misconception people have. And you also earn when it goes from side to side. The only time you don't earn is when you sell. So there is no incentive to dump any coins at any time or any levels. If we continue, basically it makes current token holders an incredible amount of money in dividends without returns. Number two misconception, P3D will get shut down. The rebuttal, P3D is an open source smart contract, an Ethereum contract. It's every single detail can be examined. There's no central authority, no government, no policing system. The entire Ethereum network would have to disappear for P3 to disappear. So the front end can be attacked, which was, and it was still continued as it did. P3D is like BitConnect, is another misconception. It will crash and burn. Rebuttal, it's the most stupid argument anyone can make. It takes 3 minutes to research that this is not a lending platform with daily returns like BitConnect. No one guarantees anything in P3D. There is no lending, and your tokens don't get locked up, so you can cash out at any time. Also, there is no central authority controlling the website. You're not going to see any conferences. You're not going to see this and that. You won't be rich because only the weak hands lose. And as we continue, there's another misconception. P3D will eventually get hacked through a backdoor. As mentioned, the contract has been thoroughly audited by independent third parties, and they all pretty much say the same thing. They go, the contract is a work of art. So the next fundamentals is the team. So the dev team, their identities and backgrounds are unknown, and they are extremely experienced in what they do. They've exploited flaws in the Ethereum network. Just look at the JUSTO token. Proof of Weak Hands does exactly what it says. It's fully transparent, has no flaws, and it can't be limited or hacked in any way. So you've got some issues which are with the Ethereum network, which they don't apply to the P3D network. It's a finished product. The product can't be changed. The smart contract cannot be altered. So that's proof enough that developers are competent people and will do their best. In terms of hacks, anything can be hacked, but with only 6 million contract currently, why would someone try hacking this when they can go for a more lucrative contract? The contract's extremely secure. The only thing that could happen is a loss of interest, but I don't see that ever happening because greed and fear control the markets, and as long as that is present, proof of weak hands will also be present. Another thing is a lot of people say, what if there's a mass panic sell? If it happens, it could lead to extended periods of low volume, but at the same time, you also get a lot of dividends. So guys, you can check out Calvera's P3D thread on his Twitter. Check it out. It really does break down P3D brilliantly. Right guys, let's get into the interview. So how this came to be was I approached Justo a few days ago saying, look, there's a lot of intrigue and interest in P3D. Would you be up for doing an interview? And he was kind enough to reply back saying, yep, I could do that. And he would also get MANTSO in on the interview, and we can put some questions from the community to him, and they will do their best to answer them. And Justo was kind enough again to put an announcement up on the Discord channel saying, look, this is what we're doing. Any questions, drop me a DM. The response was overwhelming. I had over about 300 questions, in excess of 300 questions, asking a magnitude of different things regarding P3D and future projects. I chose just over 20 questions. I really wanted to do more, but we can always save that for another time. I chose these questions because they covered a variety of topics. They all came from Discord channels, people asking on my YouTube video comments, people asking on Telegram, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. So yeah, and once Justo put the announcement up in the Discord chat, I was inundated with so many questions. It was amazing. It just shows how intrigued the community are. So before we even start the interview and the Q&A with Justo and MANTSO, I just want to clarify, these questions were not given to the dev team in advance, or they weren't given a script in advance so they could prepare answers. It was literally, I contacted Justo. I said, look, are you up for doing the interview, say in the next hour or two? He said, yep, that's fine. He got MANTSO in on the group chat, and we just started the interview. They didn't shy away from any question. They didn't refuse to answer anything. So for that, I can give them all the credit in the world. And so guys, let's get into the interview. Firstly, thank you both for your time. I, as well as the whole P3D community, are aware you are extremely busy with a P3D project and future projects.
It's a pleasure.
I've had an overwhelming response to the announcement regarding this interview. Almost 300 different questions. I've whittled them down to 23 and hope that we can arrange a future interview to touch upon any unanswered questions.
Sure.
Please do.
Okay, so the first question comes from Crypto Blake. He's a fellow YouTuber, and I know him from the Discord chat as well. His question is, what were they, the dev team, thinking when they wanted to make P3D?
P3D or proof of weak hands in specific? Because in regards to proof of weak hands, Justo would be the one to answer this in full.
P3D is more of MANTSO's brainchild on how to run the proof of weak hands concept in a way that was no longer flawed. The P3D contract itself was our intention to gamify cryptocurrencies as a whole, and all the joking mainstays of everything they brought to the table: mining, staking, masternodes. You can see we make fun of all these concepts, and we have features that effectively perform the same functions, yet don't work anything like cryptocurrencies actually do. Our mining is taking Ethereum away from other players. For example, our staking and masternode system oracleizes social media to expand our network off the blockchain.
Anything you would like to add, MANTSO?
Not really. Justo put it really well. Keep in mind that I only got involved with the Proof of Weak Hands project after the previous 2 iterations came crashing down. I approached Justo and proposed I would rewrite Proof of Weak Hands anew, waterproof, and improved. Justo, being the creative genius behind it all, agreed. The previous developers were let go and the rest is history.
Great. Next question comes from Sir We Can't. Hi there. I have a few questions about the team in general. Where are they based? What are their ages? What else do they do for a living? Hopefully they can find ways to at least partially answer without compromising their identity. Thanks. Looking forward extremely to the interview.
We don't know. Essentially, we're not developing anonymously for no reason. The previous Proof of Weak Hands contracts had extensive death threats, harassment and targeted attacks versus the team members that were public. As a result, we built a group, which we have titled Team Just, that essentially does not have a face except for the open source code that it releases. In doing so, we're doubling down on our previous joke on cryptocurrency, in which every ICO needs some kind of face behind it, and also building open source code that doesn't need our faces to matter, and will work even without us.
Okay, Jabin has a question directed to MANTSO. Hey UK Crypto, recommendation for a question on the P3D video. Try and ask MANTSO about where he put his programming efforts before he made P3D. Might help the community feel more connected with the devs.
I assume the question is what programming experience I have prior in or products I have been involved with. Unfortunately, due to the aforementioned anonymous nature, I cannot disclose anything to do with my identity, and that unfortunately includes past experiences.
That's understandable, and thanks for clearing that up. Little Stronghands has a similar question, so I can assume what the answer will be. UK Crypto, find out their ages, maybe, I'm curious. What they worked as before this, and are there any other projects they are interested in or invested in?
I think the biggest clue would be the professional level at which MANTSO's code is commented, organized and built for readability by others.
The next question comes via Telegram and it's from M. His question is as follows. I think my question will be in the topic of anonymity. I'm not sure if it's so much of a problem for all users, but I have a feeling big investors and new investors would find comfort in having a face to turn to when things are going good. I was doing some research on a recent smart contract that had a big buzz, CryptoKitties. Their developer team are pretty transparent and have received awards for their creation of the game. With talks of a pending release of a serious token with serious use case is becoming as big and transparent as a team like Axiom Zen in the works for P3D?
I personally think we've structured the project so that our community is our face, as they are the ones running the games. That's a very important distinction between centralized and decentralized software. We do not run centralized cryptocurrencies that are required to have single failure points.
The selling point of trustless systems is, as the name implies, the exclusion of the need for trust, which is made possible by eliminating the need for human interaction. Justo and I could die tomorrow, but it wouldn't affect our products whatsoever. This is the standard of quality we want to be judged by. Do not judge our faces, our names, our personas. This is completely the opposite of what blockchains are meant to achieve. The focus should be on the product, and that is something we deliver with complete and unconditional transparency. We follow the philosophy and standard of Satoshi in this regard.
Broken Crypto asks the following. Hi, I have some questions for the P3D devs. Are you actively trying to change the world with a new economic model? Do you worry about your safety, as I'm sure a lot of people are not happy with the redistribution of wealth? Do you see P3D stagnating? If yes, under what scenario do you see that happening? Thank you.
1. We are already changing the crypto space with our economic model. The world is a little tougher to crack, but I assure you the things we are doing with smart contracts are not being ignored. You can consider P3D a prototype of a trustless ICO model in which the volatility and volume of trading on a currency pays the development team. For example, ICO models right now are completely trust-based, and as a result 95% of them vanish overnight with a wallet full of Ethereum never to be seen again. 2. Pretty sure I'm going to get murdered eventually for one of these games. I have accepted my demise as necessary. 3. P3D is complicated. I can't pretend to know what it will do or under what circumstances it will do something. What I can say is that we have a companion project, Project F, which is built to keep P3D running for a very, very long time.
1. Changing the world may be a side effect, but it is not our goal in specific. As Justo said before, one of our goals is developing trustless systems. It doesn't stop at just economics. We have big plans in the works for both Project F and Sirius Token. The latter in specific will extend far beyond simply innovating an economic model. More information to come soon. 2. This goes back to our philosophy. We are not integral to the products and blueprints we are ultimately releasing out there in the world. Neutralizing us changes nothing. Our plans and devices would continue. That's the beauty of it all, you see? Which is why we don't have to risk our identities. We are no longer important once our products are done. 3. I personally don't think P3D will ever stagnate. Project F will pretty much make sure there will be volume for years to come. But again, This is speculation on my part. No one truly knows.
Crip Anon, along with about 100 others, asked the following question. When you interview him, will you ask him if someone invests $1,000 into proof of week 3D and continuously reinvests, what is his estimate for daily divs?
Try that question again, but ask about proof of weak hands 3D instead of a clone. If people asked that question with proof of weak maths, they were essentially trolling you.
I think Crip Anon messed up with his letters. Can we just give him the benefit of doubt and assume he meant proof of weak hands 3D?
Nope. Proof of weak maths is a clone contract they wanted to ask you about to try to sneak the question through. That contract ended up in an exit scam, so the answer is probably less than the $1,000 they put in. As for proof of weak hands 3D, if you have $1,000 into proof of weak hands 3D, we see averages of 0.5% to 1% daily return on investment on your initial investment. So compound that with daily reinvests, and it's about 1% daily compounding, depending on volume of course. Some days it can be as high as 2-3% return on investment, but it's entirely speculative.
We explicitly refrain from calculating forecasts or estimations on return on investment. Everyone has different ways of approaching something like this, and there's just far too many variables involved to make any accurate forecasts. You'd have to nail down reinvest frequency throughout the day, you'd have to estimate variable volume on day basis, you'd have to estimate sudden whale sells and buys, and so forth. At best you can attempt a daily forecast, or perhaps weekly, but any more than that is just pure, and I really mean pure guesswork without any defined variables.
Plus everyone considers return on investment different. I usually think in pure dividends. I would probably clarify my previous statement as dividends only.
Thanks for clearing that up, guys. Calavera asks the following question. Question for the P3D devs. Are there any plans to add P3D trading pairs in a sort of decentralized exchange to give some utility to the game, i.e. trading other coins?
We have played around with the idea, and it is possible in some fashion, but it currently does not have a high priority as it would do very little to increase the appeal of P3D in comparison to the other projects we have in the works.
A refrigerator is interested in the following. Hi, I've got a question for the dev team. So they set the initial token price and increments to unit 256 constant to 0.0000001 ether, constant incremental token price 0.00001 ether. How did they choose these numbers? It seemed the smaller the initial price, the more disadvantaged to the latter people joining.
Okay, so actually if we drop a 0 off both those numbers the scaling is more or less exactly the same, but with less tokens. Or if we add a 0 for example, it just gives everyone more tokens but the share of total tokens they would have received is the same. If we had dropped the token price initial without moving the incremental, it would have benefited early investors more, yes, but as it stands the token burn phase where the price moved the most was during the first 10-ish Ethereum, which was locked to devs in the 1 Ethereum ambassador phase. Which is why we limited early investments to 1 Ethereum or lower, to prevent anyone from abusing that initial scale.
Makes sense.
So in the grand scheme of things most of those 1 Ethereum ambassadors, the ones who didn't sell, aren't even in the top 100 anymore.
To shed some light on this, all of the clones had this initial stage disabled. This means that their respective owners owned a monstrous amount of tokens and basically scammed their community. We made it impossible for us to ever achieve such an effect. Again, that's the beauty of a trustless system. We purposefully limited our own profits down in the very code.
The following question is from an anonymous person who would rather not disclose their username. Developer question. Another P3D fan asks what would happen if Ethereum hard forked. Could they do an intentional hard fork in spite of P3D?
Nope. 1. A fork to remove page 3D is impossible. It would need more than 50% of the Ethereum network to agree they hate us. 2. If the normal Casper update hard fork occurs, what will happen is we'll have 2 blockchains and 2 independent versions of P3D, one that runs on old Ethereum and one that runs on the new Ethereum fork. So essentially a new page 3D and P3D classic.
Forking is a massive, and I mean massive undertaking. It requires agreement of the majority of miners in the network. Moreover, it would require them to roll back all transactions back from the inception of P3D. Yeah. Go wrap your mind around that one. It would also utterly and completely destroy the reputation of Ethereum. Look at Ethereum Classic Historical Event and read some more on that. You'll see why this simply won't happen anytime soon, especially not because of a small project like ours.
P3D Heme asks, will P3D ever promote other D apps that utilize the P3D contract, i.e. DApp funnels, so that the game has a system where it can give player rewards from P3D dividends?
Answer: we're releasing a framework to expand the P3D ecosystem. You'll see it in action in Project F. More details forthcoming.
Eagerly awaiting further details. Kraken asks, oh, I have a question about token holder addresses I noticed. What's with some of them having a trophy at the start? A small black trophy. Randomized order too.
That's the Proof of Weak Hands 3D EU site. That's not actually us, but those trophies are people who donated to the Proof of Weak Hands 3D EU site to keep it running. I donated. You can find my address there. I donate to many community projects.
Thanks for clearing that up. Next question is from one of my YouTube channel subscribers, John. His question is, what is the best strategy in P3D? That was the most asked question I received.
Buy. Pretend you've lost your entire initial investment and collect dividends. Reinvest forever. Token price is a total trick to get you to weak hand.
I've stated this many times in the Discord group too. Token price is a red herring. It's irrelevant in the face of time.
Crypto Flavia asks, can you run a vulnerability scanner against the Proof of Weak Hands code like Consensus or Oriente?
I ran like 20 of them. Cross-checked everything they found. If there was an issue, we would have announced it to the community and had them exit the contract. If there's an issue left, it's something in the core Ethereum EVM, in which case it's likely going to crash most tokens.
Correct. We have both used automated tools, manual verification, independent audits and several testnets to eliminate the risk of exploits to the furthest extent we possibly could. Suffice to say, our measures have proven successful.
Mr. Victorious asks, hey, could you ask for some sort of sneak peek or brief explanation of what Project F and MANTSO Series token is all about if they allow it? Maybe something along the lines of, what kind of impact do you honestly think Project F will have on P3D in the short and in the long term?
Project F is the only one we have any details at our release for. Project F is officially called FOMO3D. That's a secret, so tell everyone. The game stems from the same conceptual field as Proof of Weak Hands, where there's crypto culture that we are not only making fun of, but embracing to make it a key feature of the game. Whereas Proof of Weak Hands is holding, FOMO3D is essentially your resistance to entering the game itself, to which I'm pretty sure I won't be able to.
The game sounds intense. FOMO3D, guys, that's a world exclusive.
Justo really outdid himself with FOMO3D. It's even crazier and more intense than P3D is. Imagine that.
Are you 100% involved with the project, MANTSO?
Oh yeah, the MANTSO Justo token thing is a joke.
Oh, more than 100%. It's just that Justo is an absolute genius when it comes to creativity and ideas. The credit for the idea behind FOMO3D is 100% his. And like Justo said, the split is mostly just a way to differentiate the two different projects, but I can wholeheartedly assure you that Justo and I are like two halves of the same brain. To be even more specific, he told me about the idea for FOMO3D before P3D was even programmed, before I even started the first line on the P3D contract. Did I know about Justo's plans? He's a true madman. And I love it.
Apart from yourself and Justo, how many others are involved in these current and future projects?
Depends if you count the community.
How would you define the community?
Literally everyone runs these projects. From hype to videos to articles to ideas to feedback. For development directly we have a team of 4, which is double what we launched Page 3D with.
CP3DO had some follow-up questions. Will either of the new products be able to work on other blockchains or just be only on ERC20 token? Will the new projects be tokens or coins? If the new products are tokens, will they be utility tokens?
Project F. Not really to any of those questions.
Serious token details will remain undisclosed until we near a testnet release.
So this ties into the next question from Alex, which essentially asks about real-world usage. His question: what are the use cases for the Serious token? By use cases, I'm talking about real-world usage.
That's like the vaguest question in the world.
Undisclosed. But that question will have various answers within time, once we release more details.
T-Will asks, do you have a functionality for the new Serious token coming out soon? If not, what is so unique about the token which will make ordinary crypto people invest into the token? Thanks.
I think these questions are prying for details that aren't being released yet. Essentially look at P3D and the basis underlying it, which is essentially cryptocurrency that works differently. And realize that we can expand that in so many directions. And we've picked one we think that everyone will look at and go, damn, I better get in on this.
Can't blame the community for trying. They don't often get this opportunity.
All I can say is that these questions will be answered in due time.
More accurately, instead of saying we won't give an answer, I would just say they aren't defined in stone yet, so the answers we give would be false by the time it's solidified.
We don't want to hype people up, especially not without a tested foundation behind our back. In line with our philosophy, we rather let our products do the talking. And that will take some time.
You don't have to hype up this community, they always stay hyped. Crypto Anonymous asks the following: what is the underlying intrinsic value of the currency that will make it stand out amongst a plethora of other coins?
Well, for one, P3D already has this, Ethereum. We don't give you dividends in page 3D, we give it to you in Ethereum. We let you instantly cash out with Ethereum. We let your master node give you Ethereum. P3D is a cryptocurrency backed by Ethereum, in totality.
Final few questions. DBZCRE asks, will transacting or playing with the Serious token make dividends for P3D or Serious token holders? And on top of the P3D smart contract, can there be built a second layer of use cases? So he's imagining games where you get P3D tokens as a winner. And what other games using P3D as chips or fuel do you imagine or want to build?
There have actually been a couple games using page 3D as chips or tokens, but ultimately they kind of failed one of the important tests we had set out for the currency. So instead, we actually developed something different, which is FOMO3D.
Action CJ17 asks, please asks, where do you see P3D in 1 year?
On the blockchain running itself. Unless Ethereum dies, then we'll all be sad.
MANTSO, any comments?
I see it flourishing in 1 year time. You have to take in mind that the crypto sector is growing rapidly and new people learn about P3D all the time. In my biased opinion, P3D is one of the most interesting cryptocurrency projects out there currently. The majority of cryptocurrencies are nothing but scams and empty promises.
And our final question from the community comes from Broker on Crypto. His question is hard your greatest creation or your most epic failure?
Pretty sure neither of us were involved in Haj. The community entirely did that on their own. The fantastic bit of P3D is that it's a game of cycles, of strong hands and an upward climb, and then weak hands and a descent. I think heroes and icons will arise during each of these phases.
A couple of quick questions from myself. Firstly, you mentioned a lot of names being thrown around. We've heard of Serious Coin, PFD, F4D, Project F, and now FOMO FD. 3D, sorry. Are these projects the same thing or all different projects?
Okay, FOMO3D is also known as Phase 3, Project Harpoon, Serious Token number 1. Serious Token is known as MANTSO's token, and Serious Token number 2. The projects have names, but not public names, and the order in which things come out isn't always linear. For example, we've been hyping FOMO3D for ages, but it didn't have a community name besides Phase 3 for a long time.
Okay, so my second question is, will you both be up for doing a follow-up Q&A or another interview further down the line once these new products are up and running, with a view to bringing in further devs who are working on these projects?
Sure, you can pretty much always contact me, and whatever other devs feel like joining.
MANTSO, would you be up for it?
You can always PM me anything, but I may not always have the time to talk.
I appreciate your time, guys. The community appreciates how busy you must get. All those memes don't make themselves. Anyway, before we end the Q&A, anything you would like to say to the community? The floor is yours.
We appreciate you guys as well. After all, P3D and all related dApps are formed by the community. It's not for us. If it was, we wouldn't have limited ourselves in such severe ways like the 1 Ethereum limit at the start, etc.
Justo, any closing remarks?
I think MANTSO's got it. It's an endeavor not for us, but for the fun and enjoyment of everyone.
Well, guys, thanks again for your time, and it was a pleasure interviewing you. Well, guys, that was the interview. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope it was very informative. A big thanks to both Justo and MANTSO again for taking time out to speak to me. Hopefully we'll have further interviews in the future. It does allay a lot of fears and a lot of questions that people had. They have been answered. Obviously, we couldn't ask every single question that was posed to us, but we will do something again in the future. Guys, keep subscribing to my YouTube channel. Any further interviews or future interviews will be on this channel, uploading on a daily basis. Guys, I'll put the full transcript text version in the comment section below. I'll also put my masternode link in there as well. So guys, if you appreciate the interview, if you appreciate my efforts in making this interview, obviously it was a text-based interview. So instead of just putting a whole lot of text down, I thought I'd give it some sort of substance to make it interesting to watch. So if you appreciate my efforts, if you want to use my masternode link, it'll be down below. Guys, please do subscribe to the channel, turn your notifications on. As I always say, the P3D community is one of the best communities out there. They help each other. They pump the platform so much. I'm just looking forward to more better days, more better times. Project F, or FOMO3D as it's now known. It's coming soon. So guys, it's a brilliant time to get in on P3D. We're hitting 9,000 Ethereum in contract. We're only going to get stronger, and we're only going to get more Ethereum in contract. With the advent of new platforms coming out, the sky's the limit. And with a dev team like MANTSO and Justo that are very accommodating, they speak, and they're very intelligent, and they know what they're doing. I can't see the proof of weak hands platforms or any associate platforms. You can't go wrong with them. So guys, yeah, please do subscribe to the channel. And as I always say, you work hard for your money, make your money work hard for you. And until next time, guys, take care.